Talking to reporters yesterday, Sean Mcvay admitted that Baker playing tonight, while unlikely, not totally out of the question. Shannon, would you play Baker tonight?
Well, I mean, it's not like he hasn't played football this season. He hasn't played good football this season, but he's played football. We've seen guys get off their couch and come in and play football in an NFL game. So this wouldn't be like, oh my God, I can't believe Baker's playing. He was on an NFL roster as early as late as last week. Now, he hadn't played. Like I said, he hadn't played good football, but he's played football. So we're asking a #1 overall draft pick just 5 years ago, can you be better than 2 street free agents? Because that's what John Wolford and Bryce Perkins are. Street free agents. And we're asking, are we asking too much of Baker Mayfield? A #1 overall draft pick to be better than 2 street free agents. I don't think that's asking a lot, Skip. I really don't. Do you?
Well, time out. Have those 2 street free agents been in the system for a while? Yeah, they've been in the system for a while. Especially Walford's been there for what, 3 years?
I can't tell.
Huh?
I can't tell.
Do you realize how hard it is to play the position of quarterback when you completely change systems and all everything that you call is different, all the names are different, all the numbers are different?
Well, I'm looking at Baker Mayfield. They must be changing the offense every single week because you look at his numbers, it was like he didn't know what the hell he was doing.
Oh, really? I got some good numbers for you in a minute.
Yeah, this is what I got. Okay, for the Panthers this season with Baker Mayfield.
Here
1 and 5, 57% completion, only 6 touchdowns with 6 interceptions, and of 521 quarterbacks since 2006 to qualify, he has the second lowest.
Yeah, playing for a terrible football team, and now this is classic getting thrown from the frying pan into the fire.
Skip,
do you realize how bad the Rams are right now? Do you realize that Pro Football Focus ranks their offensive line second to last in the NFL, and it might be dead last to me.
Where did Pro Football Focus rank Baker Mayfield?
Well, I'm just talking about the Rams right now. Is Cooper Kupp playing tonight? Oh, no, wait, he's out for the season. Wait, Allen Robinson was their big offseason addition. Is he playing? No, wait, he's gone.
Well, how was he doing this year anyway?
He's gone. Wait, he's gone. Hey, have you ever heard of Brandon Powell before? Talking about undrafted street free agents? Yeah. He's going to be in the starting lineup tonight, and Baker's going to have to throw to Brandon Powell?
Did you see?
Really?
Did you see what Baker Mayfield did to DJ Moore?
Huh.
Did you see what he did to him? He had DJ Moore. How did DJ Moore look? Now look at, since he's gone, look how DJ Moore looked.
Do you know who your #1 receiver option is tonight? It's Van Jefferson, for whom you have little to no respect because you were having issues with him last year.
Skip, but here's the thing. You make it seem like that Baker Mayfield was Mahomes. When is he had receivers in Carolina. How did DJ Moore look? A guy that was a Pro Bowl player, 1,300 yards. He was just a guy thanks to Baker Mayfield. Sam Darnold comes in, he gives him 100 yards.
Interesting. So I got some numbers back for you here.
Sure. Love it. Let me hear them.
Okay, so one of the bigger stories in pro football this week is that Joe Burrow, who is now 3-0 over Patrick Mahomes, 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes, and I think he's better than Patrick Mahomes. We're going to discuss that in just a couple of minutes.
Keep going.
Okay. That same Joe Burrow is 0-4 against the Cleveland Browns, and they're about to play Browns at Cincy this coming Sunday, right? So that's a big story. How could Joe Burrow, who's 3-0 against Mahomes, be 0-4 against the Browns? Guess how? It's because of Baker Mayfield, because 3 of those wins were by Baker Mayfield. You ready for some big numbers here?
Yes.
So twice they met in 2020, and Baker in the first game had a QBR of 98. That's scale of 0 to 100 to Joe Burrow's 73. Then in the second game, the Browns won that game 35-30. Then the second game, this was at Cincinnati. Browns win another game 37-34, another shootout. Baker Mayfield has a QBR of 97 in that game to Joe Burrow's 80, 97-80. And then the third game was last season, and it was at Cincinnati again. And would you believe that somehow Baker Mayfield and his offense won 41-16? He had a QBR of 85 in that game to a 26 for Joe Burrow. So if I average the 3 QBRs against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, who, by the way, were in the Super Bowl last year, 3 QBRs in those 3 wins, Baker averaged a 93 QBR against the Bengals, a big, obviously, interdivision rival,
right,
to Joe Burrow's average QBR in those 3 games of 60. So he outplayed Joe Burrow all 3 times. The same Joe Burrow who has outplayed Mahomes all 3 times.
But here's the thing.
How do you figure?
But I'm just trying to figure. So how do you figure that you love to take stats? You love to take stats that highlight Baker Mayfield. But when I give you stats when he had a 4 QBR or a 13 QBR,
no, he did.
all you do is talk about who is he playing with. Okay, with those stats that you just gave me, who is his running backs? Who is his receivers?
Yeah, well, you got to have some help.
Okay, then. When is he going to start carrying his load? When is he going to start carrying some water?
I can tell you not tonight, because all of a sudden the Raiders have won 3 straight games, and it's the same Raiders that I thought were going to be very good. I picked them to be a wild card team, and they well might be a wild card team.
I'm just trying to figure out why you keep making so many excuses for the #1 overall draft pick in the draft.
Okay, well, he went to the worst team in football. All the power rankings had.
That's where he should have went. He's the worst quarterback in football.
Well, how did he do this? And then, wait, he finished 2nd in Rookie of the Year voting?
Hold on, time out.
Second?
So when are you going to give me some stats from this year?
Well, they were terrible this year.
No.
He was terrible.
Okay, thank you.
After the first 2 games, when he wasn't terrible in the first 2 games.
No. You can't.
How many quarterbacks are capable of throwing for 155 in the 4th quarter?
So a game is 1 quarter.
No, that was the quarter for them.
And they lost.
And they were woefully behind.
And they
thought
lost.
it was down and out, and they came all the way back.
How did they begin?
They thanks to a touchdown pass from Baker Mayfield, they were ahead 24-23.
I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly.
Yes.
So Baker Mayfield came off the bench in the 4th quarter and did all this. So the first 3 quarters, who was the quarterback doing the first 3 quarters?
But he brought them back to 24-23.
He had them behind.
It was actually Brady-esque.
Skip, I'm not giving you credit for driving me in the ditch and then getting us out of the ditch. You did this. You should get me out of the ditch.
And then Brian Burns got the worst roughing call I've ever seen, because he did not rough the passer.
He did.
It was silliness. It was just silliness. It was just a ticky-tack flag throw.
How many times you done seen Tom Brady get calls like that? And you never say it's silly or ticky-tack.
Well, how many times have you seen Jacoby Brissett get a call like that? And that's what he got. And then Jacoby Brissett tries to fake spike it and decide, I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm sorry, it's intentional grounding. And it was. And if you call it, because one ref threw the flag and the head referee overruled it.
What he should do,
if you call that, the game is over. The game is over, and Baker wins his first game and gets revenge over his Cleveland Browns.
I'm just trying to figure out how all of this has to do with Baker Mayfield and his poor play this season. I'm not talking about 21. I'm not talking about 20. I'm not talking about 19. I'm talking about this year, because you said he got that shoulder fixed, and you know he's full of pea and vinegar, and he like to spit in your eye. Okay, then what happened?
All right.
I guess the wind was blowing because it came back in his eye.
Then he went up. I thought he played pretty well against the suddenly hot Giants, and it took a 54-yard field goal to beat them at the buzzer.
But here's the thing. I mean, how many times have we seen Tom Brady win a game with a field goal? And you didn't say anything about now all of a sudden you criticizing field goals when field goals have helped your team win games in the past.
Well, you got me now, because now he's gone from what was the worst team going into the season to what is the worst team right here, right now. The champions, the team you picked to win this year's Super Bowl, they've fallen on their face mask, right?
They have, yes.
And all of a sudden, Skoranek is going to be his target tonight, right? A backup receiver is going to be in the starting lineup. And by the way, the guy you say is by far the best defensive player in football, he's out tonight.
He's been out for the last couple of weeks.
So he's definitely ruled out tonight.
Yes.
So you don't have him. What do you have? I don't know.
A'Shawn Robinson's out.
You're the 3rd worst rushing team in football, so you don't have any running attack to sort of help you out as a quarterback. So all of the signals are different. Everything that you're going to call is different, and you're going to throw him into this fire against the Raiders on Thursday night football?
He should still be able to be better than street free agents.
Really?
That's what I'm thinking. That's my guess.
Well, at least they know the system, right? At least they know. At least they've been there.
You can know something and still not know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah, and I love McVay's quote yesterday, because I first guessed this on the show yesterday, but he said, what I can say with all sincerity is that there's an excitement about being able to work with him, as in Baker Mayfield, for what we know is 5 more weeks. And whether he plays for 5 games or 4 games, depending on tonight, is to be determined. But I am excited about this.
What did B. Wag say?
Yeah.
When they was trying to get him to get all hyped about what you call him, anything that can help us win. Hey, I'm short and to the point, because he already know what it is.
Yeah.
He already know, and you know.
McVay has some Baker in him, or vice versa, because they're both watch this kind of guys. McVay, you know what he is. He's a showboating front runner, and Baker's got some of that in him. That cockiness, that I'll show you. I'll do it differently. And McVay is always trying to show the NFL, I'm a little smarter than you. And so he's going to take Baker Mayfield and say, watch what I can do with the guy who's got a lot of talent because he's got a lot of resume here.
I don't think that resume is incomplete. But
Okay.
so I'm just trying to figure out. So when is he going to show me something this year? You keep telling me what he did in 19. He won the rookie. He finished second in rookie of the year.
Yeah.
And all this yada. I want to.
Well, wait, yada yada. But in 2020, he goes 11-5 and wins Cleveland's first playoff game and since 1994.
You do understand how pro sports work. You do realize that, right?
Okay, I got it. But then he wrecked his shoulder in game number 2 of.
So what's the excuse this year?
Season?
Okay, I get 20. I'm gonna write 2021 out. He wrecked his shoulder.
Okay.
So he was bad because he wrecked his shoulder. Now give me a reason for 2022.
The Panthers clown show. Coach got fired. It was
Guess who the ringmaster is?
Yeah.
Baker.
No.
All I know is that everywhere he shows up, coaches get fired.
This will be very interesting because I'm not sure
Sean
what
McVay,
Matt
do you
Stafford
realize
has left.
that? Everywhere Baker shows up, name a coach. The only reason, and Stefanski like, man, we got to get him up out of here. I saw him get Freddie K fired, Greg Williams fired, Hugh Jack fired, Matt Rule got fired.
Did he get him fired?
Yeah, he did.
How do you get Hugh Jackson fired when you finished second in Rookie of the Year? How do you get him fired?
Was he? I just want to know.
After he would not work out for the team. Micah Parsons says OBJ told him he'd be able to go in 5 weeks, which would be when the playoffs started for Skip's Cowboys. Shannon, you first. Do you see OBJ playing for the Cowboys this season or maybe even next season?
Well, Skip, it doesn't make any sense if it's not this season for him playing for this team next season. Gallup will be a year removed from that injury. CD. And they have 19, Skip, they have 19 players set to become unrestricted free agents. Dalton Schultz, Tony Pollard, Leighton Vander Esch, and Donovan Wilson. And not to mention Diggs and CD Lamb's going to be looking for contract extension. So I think, Skip, if it's this season. The question is, and Michael Parsons says, Odell said he wouldn't be ready to go. He'd be ready to roll in 5 weeks. Ready to roll mean as in practice, ready to roll as in mean play games. And what we've seen guys come off this injury, we saw how long it took Michael Gallup. Michael Gallup is just now starting to look like himself in week 12, week 13. We saw Chris Godwin. You said Chris Godwin is finally starting to look like himself, week 12 or week 13. So his 5-week timeline, what does he mean by 5 weeks? I'm ready to start practicing. I'm ready to start playing. And what we see, Skip, a guy that hadn't played